What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Phil Shocker, the 96 Hedgehog here, and we are here for the draft analysis of the JJDL, the John Jr. Draft League. If you guys don't know what this league is all about, my good friend John Jr. Made a community server and has made a community league out of it because he's wanting to see a lot of new faces and some old faces have some fun and playing around. This is the second season that we're already in. The first season pretty much was about like a month or so ago, and now we're already back, which is pretty awesome. I liked playing in John's League. Last time we had a really fantastic team. Arguably, I had like a top 10 team out of like, I think like 30 some, 40 some coaches last season. This time around, I think we had around like 60 some coaches, which is insane. And I think my team, not quite as good as my last season team, but I think it's a really cool team regardless. But that being said, if you guys are excited, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Join the Phil Shocker crew today because you'll be following the king of the crew. We just recently hit 58 subs. Thank you guys so much. We're almost to 60, 75 at the end of the year, at the very least, to hopefully get there. But real quick, I do want to make a quick little PSA because I did try making an update video and I felt like I just did a poor job with it. I just want to make a quick little note for this video. I need your guys' thoughts and opinions because I will at least upload the draft analysis, but I've gotten you guys' thoughts and opinions because I've been going through a very tough time mentally because I just have been having to cover a lot of work shifts and I've been working a lot of early morning shifts and I have just been so tired and I'm mentally checked out. Do you guys would rather wait for me to upload all my games once I have everything played and then I just upload them like on a day-to-day basis type of thing? Or do you want it like the normal way where I can just upload it whenever I can, something like that? Because I want to be fair to you guys, because obviously OGDL has been falling behind in its uploads. And again, it's 50-50 for making playoffs in that league. So I'm going to try to get that videos uploaded and finished. But this will probably be my last league that I will upload. Just because I need to take a break from uploading and not stress around it, and I just need to try to relax. That also means my leagues are probably going to start cutting down too here pretty soon after JJDL and some other leagues, because then I'm going to have to start prioritizing maybe only two, maybe at most three leagues at most for me, just because I need a good mental break from just stuff so I can be able to relax and chill out. But with that quick PSA out of the way, let's get into the draft analysis. So if you guys are excited, let's get into this. So I had the 11th pick out of 16 in the Toenail division, aka the Tornados division. Best division because we're pretty much going to be the first division to finish first. Take that, you genies. But so there's a couple of rules here. First, obviously, we were given 120 points. I think this time around, I think last season we had like 110 or something like that. And teams were still stacked out of the wazoo. This time, teams are insanely stacked out of the wazoo. And we have a pretty powerful team. I think overall, I think I had a good team. I feel like it's not better than my last season team, but again, like I think it's really good. The Terra types have the Terra Captain rule has been changed. It is now Pokemon 8 and below can Terra, but some Pokemon that are ranked like say 5 or 6 are still going to be ranked as 7 or 8 value point Terras because of their value as a Terra Captain. So with that being said, you can grab up to about 3 captains at most. You can have it low as 1. You can have as many as 2. Again, it's all up to you on how you want to do with your Terras. But you have 12 points at maximum to spend on your Terra points, basically. So, very more important that you make sure you really pick which one is going to be your best value. So, but like I said, I had 11th pick overall, and there was a lot of stuff that I really, really wanted. We didn't allow Darkrai or Chimpower or Urshifu this time around. I believe. And there was a quite unique little ruling here on a Pokemon. And I wanted to try this Pokemon because John actually had a question today in the survey. And what's your first overall pick going to be in JDL this season? Mine was going to be Darkrai, just because if I can get Darkrai, I would love to try that thing. I think it's such a good mon. But I actually said Ogerpon as my other one, depending on obviously the ruling for it. But that's what I decided to do. I grabbed Ogerpon. Now, is this a first round pick? It's arguably, depending on how people rule with the mask and stuff like that. I personally think this can be, at least two of its forms can be. The other two, not so much. I think Ogerpon's best two forms are its Teal Mask, which is its normal form, and the Heart Flame Mask form. And I decided to go with Heart Flame. Now, the reason why I went with Heart Flame over Teal Mask is I personally think Teal Mask is probably the better of the two. That's just my personal opinion because the Teal Mask one is the default one where you get to hold items, have Defiant, and I think it just provides a lot of great utility from that. I went with Heart Flame because the combination of Grass and Fire is insanely hard to try to find a switch in towards. And this thing hits insanely hard with base 120, has really good speed in 110, and has decent enough bulk to actually be able to take hits. The one default that I think Ogerpon Heart Flame has over most teams is that there's going to be very little chances to set up to get away from rocks. So I need to have a lot of good hazard removal in order to go around with Ogerpon Heart Flame. But as you're gonna see from this draft, and I'm gonna kind of spoil it. I didn't really draft any hazard removal except one spinner, which is kind of nice by itself. But with a Pokemon Heart Flame, I should really have really good support counterplay with. But nonetheless, again, this is gonna pressure those Rock Lead Pokemon. It's gonna pressure those ground types off the rip if they want to try to set up hazards. Basically, if they're willing to either trade it or run Sash or Sturdy on their Pokemon, be broken down to Sash or Sturdy if they want to just be able to set up rocks in front of Ogerpon. I'm really excited to try this thing. We're naming it Chidori just because I don't know, it's just a random name that I thought was pretty funny, and it fit the whole like mask idea of it. But Ogerpon is gonna be an amazing Pokemon. I'm really excited to try this thing. I'm hoping to do well with this thing and hopefully get a thumbnail or two on it. So going into round two, I had to pick up a Pokemon that really helped in terms of covering a few weaknesses. Like I think Pokemon like Lycanroc could be a problem for this one. I think overall, like bulky rock types are going to be really annoying, like things like the Alolan Golems themselves as well. Just being able to live hits and then just kill it back, I think would be really annoying. And also, just again, just decent enough Pokemon out there that could be really problematic. I wanted to get a really good bulky. I want to get a really good water type, but more importantly, I want to get a good typing to help with those rock types, and that's where my boy Urshifu Rapid Strike, my boy Wutai here, is coming in. And I've never used this thing. I technically did use it in a one league that did like 14 Pokemon for a league, and not gonna lie, that was one of the biggest regretted decisions I ever did because it was a stupid format that allowed crystals, Z moves, Gigantamaxes, and stuff, and it was just so dumb and stupid, and I just didn't have fun with it. And Rapid Strike was on that team, and I didn't get to really use it because all the Pokemon just came over it. So this is my first proper time using it, and I think this is an underrated Pokemon. I know some people have been really seeing the rise of Rapid Strike because of Punching Glove, which I think is a really cool tech item for it this generation. And I think a lot of people are not giving it the full respect that it deserves. I personally see this thing as a better, first off, it's a better form between the two. Competitively, obviously, Single Strike is definitely better than this one, but I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on how good and threatening this Pokemon is, especially the access to Sword Stance this generation. I think it's really, really cool. And the fact that Punching Glove works when you're kicking people with Surgeon Strikes, I don't understand that logic, but hey, I'll take it. Good speed here, really good, decent bulk in defenses, and really strong offense. I have a really powerful 1-2 punch right here, and I think it's really good. But going into the third round, I was looking at my team. I really don't have much for flying types. I really need to get those checks to flying ASAP. And I felt like one of the best ways to do that is get a really good steel type. And I'm a little surprised this was still on the board, but I can kind of see why. There was a lot of good options here. I definitely wanted Annihilate to pair with this because I felt like Annihilate paired with this was so good, dude. So good. But unfortunately, I got sniped on Annihilate. And I could have gotten a lot of things. I think in the third round, I actually could have still gotten Bundle at some point. And there was just a lot of options. But I decided to go for the Steel type because I really needed it. And I went with Jirachi. Now, Jirachi I've used before. And I would say I'm a little bit okay using it, Jirachi. I think Jirachi has its little niches here and there where I kind of didn't really use it well. And I don't know if it was just me or it was just the matchups. But I think I'm pretty decent with Jirachi. Jirachi has that tried and true Scarf Flinch equals Rage quits. Basically, which I think is pretty cool. But I think Jirachi is also one of my favorite Pokemon I've ever used because of the nickname, because I just had the perfect name for it, which was Make a Wish, for the Make a Wish Foundation, which I think is such a really cool name for this Pokemon. And I think it's just so fitting. But Jirachi gives me a Stealth Rocker, which is really cool for this team. A really good defensive Steel type. It's also a very good offensive Steel type. It's got a lot of cool things. I think it actually got Meteor Mash this generation. I don't know if it already had it or not. But Meteor Mash now to basically get that roughly 30% chance to get the attack raises is really good. And if you really think about it, this plus what you're about to see next later is going to be so insanely good, man. I love this thing. It's such a good Pokemon. I don't know why random things pop up, but you obviously see the coverage here that we had. Healing Wish support is also really amazing on this Pokemon, which I think is really, really good for it. And just overall, it's such a good Pokemon, man. I think it would have access to Trick, to cripple things out, or a good Wish user as well. I think Jirachi is going to be insanely good for our team. Now, going to round 4, would you believe me if I said I was sniped on Florges? Because you're not wrong. I actually got sniped on Florges. So Florges was 8 points actually, and I wanted that as my Terra captain, 100% going to the draft. It's my fairy type. It's gonna be my Terramont. I was gonna be so excited for it, but literally 2 picks before me, Scorp. I don't know how his name goes, but it's a nickname. Scorp stole my Florges. Literally 2 picks in front of me, and I was so mad just because that was such a perfect Pokemon for my draft. Like that was gonna be my mon that I wanted to try the most. Because out of all the low tier things, that plus my one I did go with, I felt like were the best 2 highest pointed Pokemon. That and Hoopa. I think Hoopa, and there's obviously Lucario, but in my opinion, Lucario is kind of a little bit, but it's whatever, you know. But I'm so excited for drop. I'm so excited though for what we did end up getting. I really did want Florges though because I think that would have been really better. But I went with the next best thing, and I went with Vikavolt, aka my boy Vikashot. I'm almost tempted to name it John Jr. just because my friend John actually wanted this Pokemon because it was the best Terra Captain he saw, and we took it from him. And I told him, blame your friend. He stole mine first. And then he literally goes, fuck you, Scope. Oh, that was really funny. But I'm actually not that mad about picking up Vikavolt. It's actually a decently defensive electric type, which actually can also hit like a mother trucker. I absolutely love this. Is my favorite Alolan Pokemon. Not Alolan Pokemon, but you know what I meant. Basically, Pokemon from the Alolan region. I think this thing is insanely strong. It is so devastating that on spec sets, it's literally undeniably strong, and it is one of my Terra captains. I did end up going with 2. This is my first one. I'm pretty much definitely gonna be rocking out with Terra Electric. And the other one, I've bounced back and forth. I do like Terra Fire sets. Terra Fire sets are pretty cool to invite certain bulky waters in and stuff like that. But I'm also deciding between other things out there. More than likely, you're gonna probably see me rock out with Terra Electric more often than not. I could rock out with Terra Fairy. Terra Fairy wouldn't be too bad as well. Just be able to handle dragons and stuff like that, or going with something like the Terra Steel sets as well. But again, pretty much gonna see me run Terra Electric most of the time. I should have probably been more confident when I was gonna pick for my Terra Captain. But honestly, I think I don't even know yet, so I might as well make this video as raw as I can be. But Vikavolt, I love it, this thing. Now, I won't lie, back in Gen 7, early Gen 8, I wasn't really using this thing, and when I did get a chance to use it, I wasn't having fun with it. I think now that I've kind of seen how you need to take advantage of Vikavolt utility versus running like agility every single week, I think I now see what I need to be doing with Vikavolt versus anything else. But the biggest thing about Vikavolt as well that provides something for my team is this one little move right here. Sticky Webs. And you're going to see that not only does my Ogerpon, my Wutai, and my Jirachi appreciate this, there's a certain someone that's going to appreciate this, but we'll get to him when we do. But overall, Vikavolt, love this thing. It's one of my favorite electric types in draft, and overall one of my favorite electric types in period. Just because look at the shiny, it's so sick. I love it. Next, we get the stupid bird. Now, here's the funny thing. I think this Pokemon is the best design of the 3 legendaries between the Toxic Chain trio. Love this thing. I think its design is perfect. Competitively, I think this thing sucks. Now, obviously, a lot of people are gonna be like, "You can't just say that without using this Pokemon." But just be quiet about it, okay? But I mean, it's got okay stats. It's such a lackluster special attacker. Like having access to Calm Mind and Nasty Plot when you only have base 70. Like, come on. If this was flopped around, honestly, this Pokemon would be slightly better and actually be decently good. But oh my god, this Pokemon's really bad. Like, it's got decent coverage, got access to screens, it's got decent moves. Does have a hidden ability in Technician, which is pretty cool because obviously things like Tail Slap get boosted, Beat Up gets boosted, and what's pretty funny is there's a strat with Beat Up to activate Toxic Change essentially, which I think is really cool strats. It's not a Toxic Spikes user, which I kind of thought it was, not gonna lie, but it just gets access to Toxic, which is really good. I did need a grounded Poison type just be able to. Then also I needed a Fairy type because fairies were kind of scarce, and I got sniped on so many fairies after I lost Florges because I was literally waiting to grab Florges, and I lost like Sylveon and all these other fairies. So Orichan, it's gonna be interesting to say the least, but I'm not the most excited for it. But who knows? Maybe this thing will surprise me. But speaking of those webs, I wanted Big Daddy Mammal. I'm surprised this was still sitting in round 6. I was actually genuinely surprised that this was, because I really needed a really good ground type for this team. And there's no other ground type that's better than a Mammal Swine. Like, literally, look at this guy. Look at this. With having the Oblivious ability, it's immune to Intimidate, which I think is really cool for it, so that you don't have to worry about running Clear Amulet. Obviously, Thick Bag is a cool little niche ability on certain teams, especially with AV sets and stuff like that. Overall, Mamoswine is broken, and with webs, this thing now can run choice ban almost every single week and you just claim a KO. I think a lot of teams are gonna have a hard time dealing with this. Now, obviously, my team doesn't like having hazards, but I'm forcing you that if your only way to remove hazards is by defog, you're forced to do that. Because then, if you want to try to get hazards on my team and I get webs up on you, you're forced to get rid of your hazards and have to reset the whole process all over again. I think that's really great about my team, and Mamoswine overall is insanely good. I love this thing. I've used it before. I've been a less than 50% good with it, but I still enjoy it, and I do want to give it another try. And I think that in this meta, it's gonna be really good. So I actually kind of made a slight mistake with this pick, but at the same time, I actually look at it now, and it's probably one of the most scary pickups I could put on a team like mine. We grab Kitsune or Hisuian Zoroark. Now, you guys have seen me use Zoroark before, so I'm not going to go too much in detail with it. But I want to give it one more try. Obviously, the last time we used it, it ended up really fumbling the bag. And the time we used it before for the mini tournament for BFO Surge, we did okay with it. But I really want to give this thing another try, and this is going to be one I try to make you determine whether or not this is my type of Pokemon or not. I'm hoping it is, because I really do like this Pokemon. But I want to let you guys know something. It's a normal Ghost type, and you look at what it's paired with here. You have an Urshifu, a Mamoswine, a Jirachi, a Ogerpon. Look at the potentials you are seeing here. Now, obviously, one of the biggest things that is going to make Pokemon get confused and stuff like that is obviously if those Pokemon take chip damage before you go in, you come in with a full health Ogerpon after it's already taking like a round of rocks and it ends up being like 12% again, then obviously they're gonna know it's Zoroark. Obviously there's a few give and tails, but you think about this. If you want to try to rapid spin on a Pokemon and it's disguised as Zoroark, Zoroark blocks it. If you try to go for the fighting move, that's a priority move on like say Mamoswine and it's Zoroark, it's Zoroark. The mind games with this Pokemon is insanely good. And I think on this team, especially with one of the Pokemon you're going to see that I did draft, it's going to make this insanely difficult for my team to, for my opponents to really be getting past the mind games that Zoroark provides for this team. And I think it's going to be so awesome. Going into the next round, we actually go with a Pokemon that I have been really interesting to try. And it's Big Man. This is one of John's main emotes in his server that he recently got, and it's a Overquill being called Big Man. I am naming it Big Man in honor of the emote, but Overquill is really good. Now, if you guys look, I only had 2 Stealth Rockers on this team, and that was it. But now I've got Spikes, I've got access to Toxic Spikes, overall really good things. I got access to Barbarage, there's a 50% chance to poison, and then if the target is poisoned, it does double damage. Basically, it's another stronger version of Venoshock, which I think is really cool. Overall, I think Overquill provides really good support and utility for the team, especially with the fact that it does get access to Intimidate. It can run Swift Swim, so if there's any time we want to run something that has Rain Dance on it, it can actually take advantage of the rain really well. And it has that little niche of Poison Point, which I think could be really cool on defensive builds, especially on like Rest Sleep Talk sets as well. Overall, I think Overquill, pretty good mon. Very excited to try it. It's definitely been a Pokemon I've looked at and was like, it would be pretty interesting to try. So very excited for this. And our last big main pick, and this was, I think, a lot of people's shockers right here. Round 9 Dragonite. Now I did see someone actually talk about Ments, and I won't lie, I would have probably rather taken Ments over the Dragonite a little bit. But I do think for what Dragonite provides for a team, it's pretty good. And that's just being a monster. Now, I personally have never, ever used Dragonite. Ever. The only time I ever did was in a AAA league, which means it was any ability, right? So I don't really count those in terms of draft league. And if you do, then okay, this is my second time drafting it. But this is my first time drafting it with outside of that, and I'm very interested to see how well this thing does. I really think there's a lot of potential that Dragonite has that I hope can just shine for me because I really wanted this thing to work. I have had always an interest and an itch to try Dragonite, but I've just been so against it at times just because it wasn't really that good. I do wish I could have drafted it when it was not Terra banned. I won't lie to you there. But overall, I think Dragonite is insanely good. Multi-scale is a great ability. Inner Focus having its cool little niche, and what I think it's going to be really cool about that is that this is again provides the mind game. I think there's a lot of things up too. Like obviously, multi-scale is the superior ability on this thing, especially with heavy duty boots. But again, with having that inner focus, I won't be intimidated unless I'm running clear amulet that week as well. But another thing is that my opponents are gonna have to be careful because if they think this is my Zoroark, and they're switching in on this as a Dragon Dance, boom, inner focus, and boom, that's gonna help me. And again, if they want to, I can run inner focus, and I think that copies potentially the ability that Zoroark can do. I don't know for sure. If not, it's gonna pull around that. But I think Dragonite then paired with this thing is going to be such an insane combination. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really like this team overall is that the main piece being Zoroark provides so much mind games with my opponent that like if I bring Zoroark every single week, they have to literally be thinking every step of the way how they gotta play her until Zoroark's down, which I think is really cool. And last but not least, we grabbed the OG Rapid Spinner in Sand Slash, which is my other Terra Captain, which I'm probably going to make more likely into probably a Fairy type and probably a Grass type, honestly. I think Grass is really good just because Grass helps against bulky waters that Sand Slash always struggle to beat. And then Fairy just because give you a good answer to Dragons and Darks, which I did have decent amount of answers to, but I felt like would be really cool as a kind of option. Don't won't lie, this thing definitely could be forced into a pigeon role of being like Spadef with AV for its offense and stuff like that. But it's gonna be a great user of that, especially with the Terra options it's gonna have. And overall, Sand Slash, at least it gives me a rapid spinner. Obviously, like I said, my hazard removal is shit, but having at least one spinner is good enough in any situation. So, what do I think overall about my team as I'm gonna show you mons? I'll show you the mons as we go on. Like I said, I don't think this team was better than my last season team. I do think this team, though, honest to God, I think is an 8 out of 10. I think when you add the amount of rockers plus webs, spikes, and toxic spikes that it provides for itself, I think it's really, really good. I think if you look at the offense on this team, the offense on this team is disgusting, which I think is really good. I think there's not a great ton of defense on this team, but I do think some of the defense that we do have, they work well with each other. And I just think in general, this team looks pretty really good. Like I said, the only thing I would probably hurt myself on this one is that I don't have great hazard removal. And I kind of have a little bit of repeated speed tiers and some repeated typings that don't make sense with each other. So I think overall, this team is like an 8 out of 10 team. I think, again, if I can patch that ground weakness a little bit better, and if we also could have maybe gotten a little bit better hazard removal, it could have been probably almost a 10 out of 10 team. But overall, I think the mind games with Zoroark is really great. Ogerpon, Wu-Tai is going to be really great. Overall, I think this team was fantastic. And let's see how well we can do it. Let's see if we can make the playoffs this time. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Be excited for the JJDL Week 1 game. Now, again, you guys got to let me know in the comment section down below. Would you wait for me to finish all my games and then upload them all at once, or do you want to see them as I can try to get them up to you as fast as I can? Again, I want your guys' thoughts and opinions. This is not my channel. This is also your guys' channel. So I want to be able to get as much of you guys involved as I can. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.